So welcome back to our deep dive on Matter. Today we're talking about standards, industry standards, and Matter is one of those. And it's an important one, especially here at CES this week. We're talking with Sujata Neidig, who's the Director of
Marketing, Wireless Connectivity.
Wireless Connectivity, there you go, for NXP. So thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Bill.
Really
nice to be here with you.
Let's start with a really general question. Why does a big company like NXP spend so much time and effort and money on standards?
It's a great question. You know, when we look at the markets that we're addressing within NXP and how we're driving technologies and products to address those markets, it's complicated. There's many components to it, and there are certain aspects of what we're building that are the basic foundational elements or the plumbing of what our customers need. And by investing in standards, we can work with people across the industry, kind of bring together this collective brain trust, the brightest minds, the best, the most experienced folks, and pull together and develop something that can be leveraged and used across the whole industry. So from NXP's perspective, it helps us to take our resources and our expertise and really deliver that broadly to the industry and have that consistency and interoperability.
Yeah. Well, but as companies contribute to these standards, they're really contributing their intellectual property and their ideas and concepts for the common good. And I guess if you take a step way back and look at that, they're purposefully depreciating the value of some of the value of their proprietary ecosystems, their proprietary competitive advantages for this common good. So how do they reconcile that?
Well, so you talked about kind of niche markets, so proprietary markets. So when you're driving technologies into niche markets, you're limiting your addressable market or how many devices you can sell. So
So the rising tide lifts all boats.
The rising tide lifts all boats, exactly. And it drives then also this ability to invest in innovation, and innovation is what really creates the market demand and market growth. So by investing in standards to help support the basic foundational elements, like I said, or the plumbing, what we see is that enables the larger market growth, and our customers can then take their resources and invest them in finding innovative ways to solve problems or deliver on more dynamic and more value-driven experiences.
Well, and at some point, technologies mature,
yes.
and what used to be a proprietary advantage now is holding the market back because these technologies are fairly well understood now. So it's better if everybody does it the same way and then moves innovation up a level, right? And
you talked about people contributing from different companies, and everybody has different experiences. Every company has different experiences, different levels of expertise, different areas that they have strengths in. And so when we work together, even with our competitors, we're kind of, what do you call it, co-friend, they're competitor, but they're also a collaborator, right? And so we can work together to deliver solutions
like co-opetition.
Co-opetition, yes, that's the word. By working with even our competitors, along with our customers, we'll build technologies that actually will drive the market and not technologies that are just technical feats. We want to make sure that we're driving what the market needs.
That's really important. So do consumers really care? Like, we're in the consumer business here with Matter, right? It's aimed strictly at consumers, at least for the present time. So do consumers really care about standards?
So what they care about is the experience that they get. And when they buy products, they see logos on them that tell them that this is the experience I'm going to get, this is how I use it, and having that consistency and not having to think about it, that's what they care about. They just want things to work.
Yeah, if I see an HDMI plug, I know if I plug it into my TV, I'm going to get a picture, right?
Right.
USB is another good example.
Yes.
It really revolutionized the PC industry by letting people make printers and keyboards and all that stuff
exactly,
that just plug into any computer. Does this turn the smart home into a platform then?
Potentially, yes. That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
And that's, I guess, a good transition to what NXP has actually done in this area of consumer connectivity. And you and me, Sujata, we go back a long way on this. We were actually in the room and casting votes for our respective companies when Thread was formed back in 2013.
Yes.
And we're with that. You have been with that organization from the very beginning. As, I believe, VP of Marketing, right?
Yes.
So Thread's been available since 2015, but until now, to be honest, despite our hard work, there has been very little consumer interest in Thread. You talk to people about Thread and they say, "What? Wait, is something showing?" You know, they sort of don't know. But Matter is different. Here at CES, Matter is pretty much the star of the show, or
exactly,
one of them, anyway. So why is that? Why is there such a big difference in consumer perception between Thread and Matter?
I think that's a great question. I will say that I think that's changing significantly, like very quickly over the last year because of Matter. And actually even before Matter with HomeKit. So as HomeKit devices started supporting Thread, consumers started to see those products and see the benefits that the Thread-based HomeKit devices were delivering versus non-Thread. So I think that it started at that point. And you talked about Thread starting in 2015. Thread is a very focused solution for how to connect devices together. It is a network transport layer.
Right.
And it's IP-based, so it's agnostic to what application you run on top of it. Anything can be run on top of it. So I think Thread was a little bit ahead of the game, but it needed to be because it had to set that foundation. And because Thread was available, that's then when HomeKit decided to leverage the IP benefits of Thread, and then Matter started to come together as, okay, we want a common language for the smart home. And now that these application layers and application languages are available, there is a much higher awareness of what Thread brings. And especially with Matter, because Matter supports Thread and Wi-Fi. And so what we see, or what I see as customers or companies that are releasing products based on Matter actually are highlighting when they're using Thread because it provides this fast response time, it's low power, and those are benefits that consumers care about.
Well, that's really good to hear that Thread is now more visible and actually is attracting people to this kind of evolving ecosystem around Matter.
In fact, I think it's really interesting to see because, Bill, we've been, like you said, we were part of Thread from the beginning. When I started the marketing efforts for Thread, we didn't envision Thread being a consumer brand. We envisioned Thread being really an ingredient brand. And now I was walking around the floor and looking at the announcements of Matter products, and you see all these products and they're using the Thread logo with them.
Yeah, that was always controversial. Some of us thought that it should be visible.
Right.
In the same way that USB and Wi-Fi are visible, because again, it tells you that the product you're buying is going to be compatible with other similar products. But back to Matter for just a minute. There must have been a lot of controversy around how to do it. What's in, what's out. There must be some war stories. Come on, share some with us. There must be some interesting stories about how these large companies came together and decided to put everything on the table and create Matter over a period of 3 years, which is just an incredibly short period of time for a standard.
There's a few ways I want to answer that question or give you insight that how I see it. First, that Matter was a commitment by major industry players together, and the reason that came about is the market was not growing at the rate that we all wanted it to, right? The way I heard it described is all of these companies have been trying to grow the size of the slice of the pie that they have, and they got to this realization that consumers want things to work and they want choice in how they select devices and then to have them work together. So really it was about growing the size of the pie, and then that automatically
the whole pie,
right?
Yeah.
And so that's one aspect. And then as far as developing the standard itself, it's within the Connectivity Standards Alliance, which was formerly Zigbee Alliance, and so there's a lot of processes and procedures and governance that's in place to facilitate how do you build a standard, how do you make trade-offs, decisions and prioritizations. And so were there some war stories? There were definitely areas, that there were disagreements, but because there's hundreds of companies and there are multiple people from each company involved, and you always go back to what is the goal that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And Matter had been very clear about that and very clear about the timeline. And so having those guiding priorities helped facilitate that decision making.
And you must have had the consumer in mind the whole time.
Yes.
Because one of the most impressive things about Matter is how it standardizes and sort of consolidates the way that you put a new device on your home network. It's always been very painful. Even with Wi-Fi, to this day, we still type in SSIDs and passwords. I just did it a minute ago here in this very booth. So we're still doing that. But with Matter, that kind of goes away. Or it can. It
can, yes. With the simplified approach of using a QR code, or with NXP, we're really driving NFC as a super simple tap and touch way to onboard the device, and then a simple app guides the consumer through the process, right?
That's so important. I can imagine buying a wall switch,
yeah,
which has a QR code on the back, and you mount the wall switch, and then you need the QR code.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
do you do?
Yes.
Oh, I threw the box away.
Right.
That's where the QR code was. NFC just makes so much sense for that.
It does.
It doesn't add much cost to the product, right? And,
right.
And it makes it possible to commission the device with any phone manufactured, I guess, after the iPhone X. Anything after that pretty much has
And
it.
I think the other part of it is where Matter didn't sacrifice security for usability. Right. So what's unique with Matter as far as how it's delivering a better experience for onboarding is it's implementing more security requirements. And so devices have to authenticate and say that they are, prove that they are what they say they are, and then that they're certified and allowed to join the Matter network. So for consumers, it gives them more confidence that even though they're adding all these smart devices, that they're not compromising on their security of their smart home.
And as they add those devices, they're actually making the home a lot smarter.
Yes.
I mean, you can't have a smart home if you only know just 2 or 3 things about it. We're going to need to make homes truly smart and, like we're beginning to say, almost autonomous in the scope of the home controls that we'd like to enable. You need a whole lot of devices, and that's really the big transition I think that's going on in the user experience, is from remote control, where you say, hey, it's really cool, I can push a button here and the light comes on over there. That's not much different than push a button on the remote and the channels change.
Or even voice.
We've had that since the 70s.
Right.
So even voice is just
control.
one step on top
but
of that.
But it's still
you're still turn on the light.
You're still taking the first action.
Yeah.
And with Matter, we should be able to get to that point where the home can really anticipate and automate and create this autonomous experience for consumers.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that evolve. It'll take a few years, but once you start to get a lot more devices connected, then all kinds of new things will be possible to kind of raise the bar on user experience up to the next level, where instead of directly controlling things, you're controlling them by intent. You're expressing intent, and then the house does what you want.
And from NXP's perspective, our customers are the companies that are building these consumer devices, right? So for us, what we see is that with Matter, we can work with our customers so that they can invest their resources in doing different things from a UI experience perspective. And as a semiconductor solution company, we also have AI ML, we have facial recognition, audio, video, streaming. So we have all these UWB, we have these different technologies that we can equip our customers with. And from our customers' perspective now, they can build products that will work with other products in the smart home, and they can provide value in the way that they're delivering the experience to the consumer.
Yeah, and that's a big transition for the CE industry, right? In other words, really, no longer worrying so much about the plumbing
Right.
of how connectivity takes
Yeah.
place in the home. You take that for granted.
Yeah.
And NXP is providing almost complete solutions from that application level all the way down to the antennas, everything in between. And that means they don't need the engineers, they don't need the security experts, they don't need the internal expertise or the development time to produce that stuff. They can kind of jump straight to writing the application stuff, the stuff that people actually buy products for in the first
Right.
place. So that's pretty exciting that you guys are enabling that dramatic change.
And you've been in the IoT industry for quite a while, Bill. You know that building these devices are complicated.
It's very difficult.
And so, the Matter as the connectivity is one part of it, but how do you integrate that with the security, with the application that you're trying to deliver? And that's where what we're doing with supporting our customers by building solutions and providing all the components and doing the software integration is a key component of what enables our customers to be successful in bringing their products to market.
Yeah, that systems approach is going to pay off, I think, big time, and I think it will have a fundamental effect, kind of a sweeping effect on the consumer electronics industry, really allowing them to operate, like I said earlier, at a higher level and tackle a bigger set of problems. So thanks. Appreciate your time today.
It's
was
good
great.
to chat.
Yeah, always. And it's great to see how NXP's long-term investments in Thread and Matter and other standards.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other standards we didn't talk about.
There are, yes.
It looks like that slot machine is going to pay off big time here.
Yes.
So we're in Vegas, so we have to say stuff like that.
Well, and I think, Bill, also when we talked about Thread and even Wi-Fi, what Matter has done is leverage technologies that already exist and are proven and putting things together instead of starting from scratch. And so that's really helping the industry move forward quickly. That's how I think Matter was able to be released in 3 years. And that's pretty exciting.
Unifying standard.
It's a unifying standard.
Which is a new kind of thing, really, at least in this part of the industry.
Great.
So thanks again.
Thank you.
And please join us for other videos in this series as we explore the technical details of Matter, talking with industry experts like Sujata.
Great.